Would you say that the allowance given is enough for travel, socializing, or outings? Like to note starting off with expectations that it's a limit. And we always recommend that students come in with some level of savings.
Depends from, as we all know, it depends from one place to another, and the grant is changing from one place to another. For me in Champaign, Illinois, I believe it's going fine. I think it's not really tight. So the grant is fine. It's covering tuition. It's covering all utilities in terms of education. Also, we receive a payment for books by each semester, which is also helpful. Um, I think it's all good if you can follow, like, let's say, a plan in terms of trying to be, let's say, on budget at some point, but still I feel that I'm comfortable. It's not like money is not a concern of mine at the moment. But if you want to travel, as Mahmoud just mentioned, if you want to travel, traveling within the US is also an expensive thing. Flight tickets are also expensive, as well as train and buses. So you will consider trying to save. If you want to save, you can save, of course, of the stipend. But otherwise, you'll have to use some savings of yours if you want to do traveling and visit some places in the US. But overall, again, it's the goal of the stipend not to make money or make savings. It's about giving you the chance to study and to live in a comfortable way, which is, I think, it's happening for me at least.
The stipend is gonna be enough for rent, for food. You're gonna learn how to cook. I'm gonna don't eat outside too much. Don't be doing that. That's not gonna be sustainable for long. So learn how to cook. You're gonna have enough to spend for the stipend, but bring some additional funds if you want to travel or go to conferences. I know the Fulbright gives you like an allowance. I think it's around $500 for conferences or seminars if you're invited. But if you really want to attend as many conferences or seminars or travel as much as you want, bring some additional funds, because just like Teresa as I said, the inflation doesn't help. It depends also on the where you're located. Here in Ohio, the prices are not as steep as, for example, in New York or California or other places in the US. So yeah, you're probably gonna have to budget, but it's not that bad. Come on, it's not that bad.
I think my answer would be a little bit different than you guys because I live on the Fulbright stipend and it's good enough for me. And take it from someone who went to 14 states. So I pretty much travel somewhere every 2 months, 1 month and a half. So I think the key element here is to know how to budget your expenses. So from my experience, I took the first 6 months in the US, I did not go anywhere. Like the first 6 months here, I was trying to adapt to the environment, the school, the classes, like homeworks and all that type of thing. So I did not go anywhere the first 6 months. I was trying to adapt to the new environment. So it's not like I'm gonna wake up and take the bus and go somewhere. So I think it's crucial to take the first few months to adapt to the new environment and budget your expenses and know how much you can save each month. And also plan your trips. You don't just do, I don't know, you wake up and you're like, I'm gonna take the bus and go to Boston. It does not work like that because flight tickets, train tickets, they change with time. So if you want to travel somewhere with the minimum money possible, you need to plan ahead, like 1 month, 2 months in advance. Also, another thing that I talked about when we first started, you have a big network of Fulbrighters. Whenever you go, you're gonna find someone that you know in that state. So I think before looking for accommodation, look for someone, a Fulbrighter that lives in that state. If they have like a spare bed, they can host you, or if you can find like other Fulbrighters who want to travel with you, so all of you can get like an Airbnb together, and that would be cheaper. So there is like some tips and tricks on how to travel. You don't have to spend a lot of money going somewhere.
I have a similar experience to Noor, so I think my allowance is really good. And I was lucky enough to find a cheap apartment that is close to campus, so that helps a lot. And I haven't traveled actually across the US because I'm saving to go back to Lebanon for the summer. And tickets to the Middle East are so expensive.
I totally agree with both Noor and Malak. I do find the stipend to be enough, and I think it's not something that all students or who are interested in applying, it's not something that you should be concerned about. It's gonna be it's actually gonna be enough. They will be calculating each of your spending, and you will receive the enough money that you will need to live in that state that you'll be receiving the grant for. So it's not something that you should be concerned about. It's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine.
Yeah, the only tip I would have for that as well is find a cheap rent, because rent takes up the most amount of money in your from your stipend. For example, for me, it takes up to 70% of my stipend. So it's really important to find cheap rent. That's gonna allow you to save up as much money for other activities.
And I think some of you shared there are ways around finding that roommates. There are Facebook groups for housing. There's a lot of good tips that each different university has slightly different.